We all experience anger from time to time. Maybe it's a coworker who is late on a report, friends forgetting it's your birthday, family members arguing at get-togethers, pets not making it outside and relieving themselves on the floor at home. And certainly there's the unforeseen circumstances that seem to blindside us. When we get angry at people or pets or situations, it's because we have expectations. And when those expectations aren't met, we're disappointed. We realize we're not in control, and that can be humbling at times. But it's a reality of life. We're not in control of so many things. And so, having so many expectations opens us up to frustrations, anger, and suffering. All religions and philosophies that I'm aware of talk about the dangers of anger. If the anger of the ruler rises against you, do not leave your place, for calmness will lay great offenses to rest. That's Ecclesiastes 10:4. Whereas in the Quran, it states, whoever controls his anger when he has the means to act upon it, Allah will fill his heart with contentment on the day of resurrection. And so the danger of anger is evidenced by these previous quotes, and so it's important for us to find positive ways to let go of our anger. And the Buddhist quote is, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So holding on to anger with the idea of wanting to project that anger onto someone else, whether it's through your actions or other thoughts, is really detrimental to you on the inside. Have you ever seen two parents argue at their child's sporting event? Maybe there was a bad call by the referee or umpire, or perhaps the parents, don't feel that their child wasn't getting enough time on the field, so they argue with the coach. Oftentimes, the angry parent, by their loud and threatening posture, puts the other into a defensive position. Egos get inflated, and neither one wants to back down. Sometimes a physical altercation even occurs, and the children are left feeling hurt and saddened, and later when tensions give way to calm, parents often feel shame too. And so anger begets suffering. Now, consider a situation when perhaps a child brought home a bad grade on the report card. The parent meets with the teacher and begins to chastise them for not doing their job, calling them ineffective, a lousy teacher, and such. The teacher sits there calmly, letting the parent continue. When the parent is finished, the teacher pulls out their grade book and shows them many missing homework assignments. The situation has changed and quieted down because the teacher conquered the parent's anger with non-anger. And so conquering anger by non-anger is a very effective method. And we'll talk more about this as we go along. There's a wonderful story about the Buddha on how he conquered anger with non-anger. And it goes like this. Buddha had a cousin, Devadatta, who was extremely jealous of him. Devadatta felt that he himself was as good as Buddha and was jealous that people ignored him and did not honor him in the way they honored the Buddha. He was always thinking of ways to harm the Buddha. And so one day he devised a plot to kill Buddha. He knew that day Buddha was going to pass through a particular town, and before the Buddha came into the town, he brought the elephant to the town, hiding it behind a wall. He then fed the elephant a lot of liquor to make it drunk, and his plan was to use this drunken elephant and trample Buddha to death. When he saw from a distance that Buddha was coming, he immediately used sticks and beat the elephant very brutally. And the drunken elephant was in such great pain and was totally enraged and angry. And then, seeing this, Devadatta immediately released the elephant in the direction of the Buddha. And overwhelmed with anger and pain, the elephant was now mad and starting at full speed towards the Buddha. And it raised its ears and tail and trunk and making a lot of noise. And it was as if thunder were striking. It was very loud. All of the disciples who were with the Buddha were horrified at this terrible sight and scrambled to flee from harm's way. Only Ananda, Buddha's attendant, stood firmly beside the Buddha. At that time, Buddha himself remained totally at ease and composed when he saw this angry elephant coming towards him. And he took a look at the elephant and felt great love and compassion for this poor animal. He stood there right where he was and radiated his loving kindness towards this elephant. Buddha's love and compassion was so strong and powerful that the elephant could feel it. And just a few steps before it was about to charge into the Buddha, it stopped in its path and calmed down. And then it made its way over very gently towards Buddha and respectfully bowed its head. And Buddha stroked the elephant's trunk and comforted with such soft and kind words. And after that, the elephant was totally tame. Anger is often described as a raging elephant or an out-of-control wildfire. It has the ability to destroy all that we love without discrimination. It's a response that really requires our mindful attention and our love and compassion to deal with and to find positive ways to channel that anger into another form. And so we have to realize that we will experience anger from time to time. And a lot of times some anger can arise in our state by family members. Perhaps it's at a holiday with relatives that maybe you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe someone says something off color. Perhaps it's in a media story, right, with a local politics, or maybe there was a social injustice that has occurred. Or even friends. Friends have a way of sometimes making us angry, although we tend to be more loving with our friends and say they are our friends and understanding. Work can elicit anger within us, especially if there's perhaps a change in management and they change our workflows or our work styles, things that we've become comfortable in our daily routine. And social media is another aspect that is a contributor to our anger. We are exposed to many different views that are challenging to us. And so we have to understand that sometimes we're going to find anger as a result. And so anger is contagious. And so we do have to find ways to handle this emotion with loving kindness. And anger is talked about in many of the sutras. However, in this talk, we're going to highlight 5 of them that I feel are very effective. The first step that I feel is very effective is to just meditate mindfully in that present moment when we're feeling angry, observing that anger but not participating in it. And recall the 2 examples from earlier in this talk where the child's father's at the sporting event. What happened when the coach and the parents got involved and nurtured that anger? Not only were the parents emotionally affected, but so were the children. And not just the child whose parents were involved, but all of the children, as well as all the participants who had to witness that negative experience, that negative display of emotion. Whereas consider the teacher and the parent. The teacher just sat there. I'm sure she felt angry, upset, and hurt by being called names and having her profession demeaned and her ability demeaned. But she sat there and she listened patiently. And so that is how we can meditate mindfully in the present moment and not engaging in that anger. Being attentive to the kindness of others and overlooking their unkindness is another step or another practice to partake upon. And what that means is sometimes people have bad days, and just like you do. And when we experience someone who is perhaps rude or angry or perhaps short in their talks with us, overlook that. Understand that there is something going on within them that is making them respond in this negative or angry fashion. So when we can respond in kindness to that person, they in tune or in turn will take a step back. Understand that, hey, I am projecting my anger with something that does not even have to do with you towards you. And so when they step back, when they realize that these comments, their actions are negatively affecting you, their kindness will surface. And then they will apologize and understand that they have hurt you. And so we don't engage with aggressive behavior or angry behavior. We just pay attention to the kindness that that person does have within them, and it will surface. We can practice metta kindness and compassion for all beings and putting our enemies first in our meditations. Metta means kindness, benevolence, all of the positive attributes, the positive qualities that we as human beings possess. Every single one of us has kindness and compassion. Sometimes we're taught to hide those emotions, but instead bring them forward. And so when we have kindness and compassion for our enemies, that opens up so many wonderful doors and feelings within us that others can see. Our enemies can see that. People that may not like us so much for any particular reason, but that has a lot to do with them instead. So when we practice that metta kindness for all of our beings, that is a blossom within inside us. That grows empathy, compassion, love, and security, and comfort, all within inside us. And that is what helps others end their anger as well as the anger inside of you. That will subside when we practice that. We can use wisdom and patience is a form of wisdom, and we can analyze our anger meditatively. Look inside us. Why are we feeling angry? If someone says something negative to us, is it true? If it's not true about us, then there's no reason for us to get angry. And so we can also understand its cause and effect. If I let someone who says something negative towards me, if I let that fester, if I water that, it will grow. And so I have to understand the effects of nurturing anger. So using wisdom and patience will help that anger fade away. And so we approach that with the loving kindness that anger deserves to be approached with, because we are not engaging that negative emotion, which we know is dangerous. And so with time and the patience, using our wisdom, anger will fade. The final method that I would like to talk about is the substitution method. And this is where we substitute something positive for that negative experience that is allowing us to experience anger within ourselves. Think back again to if we are at work and we're waiting for a report from one of our coworkers, and we have to hand in that report to our supervisor as a team, and your coworker is late. You're wondering where they are. What are they doing? This is going to make us look bad in front of our supervisor. Imagine that your coworker has found significant errors in, say, one of the cost analysis. Suppose that coworker is spending precious time to correct those errors. And so before we get angry, take a moment to reflect. What is really going on? See, we don't know necessarily what is going on, and so that can be a source of anger and anxiety. Allow the good to unfold. Nurture the good, that this person who is a trusted member of our team is late. There must be something important going on. Imagine if that error was not discovered until you handed it in to your supervisor and they were the ones who discovered that error. How would that reflect on your team? So before we allow anxiety and tension and anger of the unknown to manifest itself, reflect upon it. Substitute that unknown with, there has to be something positive behind this. And so that's how we can nurture those negative emotions with positive emotions. So my friends, these are some of the ways that I feel are most effective in allowing us to let go of the anger that we will experience from time to time. It's going to be important to remember that with practice, the quiet and patient mind can overcome that destructive flash of anger. Remember, anger is often compared to that raging elephant or that out of control wildfire. And so following the steps highlighted above will help diminish the destruction, the suffering that anger will promote towards yourself internally, externally, as well as affecting others around you. And again, most of those others are going to be people that we love. So follow these steps to help live a more balanced and harmonious life with yourself and the world around you. And with that, my friends, I thank you so much for spending some of your time listening to me today. And if you find these videos and the talks, please feel free to subscribe and like our videos. And I wish you all a peaceful and day of ease. Take care, my friends.